What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I'm going to start this profile off a little bit differently. I'm actually going to show you the anti-nib combo so you can understand my reasoning behind this deck, and then when I go through the profile I'll explain everything I've got and why I choose not to play certain elements and why I choose to play other ones instead. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now, before everyone goes, oh yeah, but what about Ash Blossom? Yes, dealing with Ash Blossom and Nibiru does suck, but you do of course have the ability of opening up additional 2 cards if any one of those is a fusion deployment, or of course Volaki Saki, Called by the Grave. You do have the ability to deal with that as and when you see fit. So, with all of that out of the way, let's dive into the combo. So you're going to start off with your branded fusion, and off the branded fusion we're going to go a little bit, not old school, but back to how it was before, because I still really like this play. And we're going to send the Merry Courier, and we're going to send the Fawn of Albaz, and this is going to allow us to go into our Rinbrun. You're then going to be able to use Lubellion's effect here to discard itself to search you out the Saronir. And this is why you want the Lubellion over the Saronir, is it allows you to complete the combo to get you a Mirror Jade on the board as well. So you're then going to use the Saronir's effect. You're going to banish the Tri-Brigade Merry Courier, and this is going to allow you to summon the Saronir down. You'll trigger the Merry Courier's effect, and this will allow you to search out a Cartesia. At this point, we're in a very, very good position. So we're going to send the Saronir for the Lubellion, and this is our 3rd summon. So we're still 2 under Nibiru, which is beautiful. You're then going to use Lubellion's effect and, of course, Saronir's effect. So for Saronir's effect, you're actually going to send the Branded Sword instead of the Retribution, and off of the Lubellion you're also going to activate the Branded Lost. You'll then have the ability to banish the Branded Sword, and this will let you add the Merry Courier back to the hand, which means you are now protected from the Nibiru because you have a monster that lists Fawn of Albaz in its text. You will then have the ability to special summon down the Cartesia, being your 4th summon if you are still worried about it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use that effect to contact fuse, or her effect to fuse into the Dust Dragon. This is of course your 5th summon, so if your opponent does want to try and Nibiru you here, then of course it is going to happen. But keep in mind that you do have the ability of using this on summon, and you're protected from the Branded Lost. So you'd have to wait for all of this to resolve to then Nibiru you, and you still have a Merry Courier which is live. So by resolving this, you'll go Chainlink 1 Dust Dragon and Chainlink 2 Branded Lost. It's entirely up to you on what you want to send with Dust Dragon. If you want to try and push and add a Dragoon to this hand or this end board instead of a Mirror Jade, you'd actually send Dark Magician from the deck to the graveyard. If you want to get an additional Foolish Barrel of a branded card, you send the Albion Dragon. Otherwise, you can send from the extra deck. It's entirely up to you on which one you choose to go for. Off of the Branded Lost, of course, we are going to search ourselves out a Spring Guns kit. And because we have a monster that lists Fawn of Albaz in its text, we will be able to special summon down said kit and trigger her effect to add you a Branded in white. And then you put the random card back to the bottom of the deck. Now, usually you might want to be going for the Lubellion, and that's where you'll need an additional discard fodder. But a lot of people kind of overlook this, is you can activate Branded in white. And what we're going to do here is we're going to banish the Albaz from the graveyard, and then we're going to send the Dust Dragon from the field, because Dust Dragon can trigger its effect on the field or in the graveyard. This will of course allow us to go straight into a Mirror Jade, and if you wanted to leave the kit on the board, you would have the ability of ending the turn here. But to give you a bit more advantage back into the hand and set up the Albion, you're going to use Mirror Jade's effect to send the Albion as cost from the extra deck to the graveyard, trigger the Rinbrum's effect to negate, and return the kit back to the hand. So you've basically done all of this with 1 card when you consider how much of resource you've looped. Not to mention that during the end phase, you're going to be able to trigger Cartesia to come back to the hand and Albion. And with Albion, you can set the Branded Banishment because you have a legal target in the form of the Dust Dragon, as it was successfully fusion summoned. So you've got the ability of banishment during your opponent's turn as well, which is quite nice. But then on top of that, you could go for a Branded in red if you've got additional plays. You get an additional search off of Branded Lost. You still have the Merry Courier negate in the hand, and you've got a Mirror Jade banish and a Rinbrummed bounce. So very, very conclusive. It's insanely powerful. Obviously, if you don't want to worry about Nibiru, or if you activate fusion deployment and you see the Aqua Dolphin and then look at your opponent's hand and they don't have a Nibiru but they have an Ash, then of course you can rip the Ash and you're good to just go full ham and go complete your entire board. So that's it for the combo. I'm now going to dive into the profile and show you everything we've got on this updated build. So the reason I'm showing you the combo at the start of the video was so you can kind of see the thinking and the play style of the deck. So with that out of the way, let's show you the entire list. So we start off with, of course, 3 Aluba. I'm not going to spend too much time on the standard ratios because like the 1 Tragedy, the 1 Ad libitum, 2 Fallen of Albaz. Again, I know there are people playing 3. I play a couple of one-offs. It is a 41 card deck, so I feel 2 is okay at this moment in time. I still haven't really decided whether I feel that 3 is optimal. Then I'm playing the 1 Mary Courier, the 1 Kit, the 1 Cartesia, and the 1 Albion Dragon. All of these are very, very important. I'm highly considering bumping the Mary Courier up to 2, but ones of everything works out quite nicely. The kit is very important for this particular version because as you saw in the combo, it helps you kind of complete your plays while also playing around Nibiru, which is a very big factor in the current game state. So that's it for kind of like the Fallen of Albaz monsters and the Despia monsters, pretty standard on that. For the Biosteels, we have a much bigger lineup than we usually have. It's bouncing back and forth. Like, you're either playing like 3, 3, and then like 1, or you're playing 1 and 1. So entirely up to you. I'm highly considering maybe changing the Saronir out a little bit because I'm still not playing the standard combo of how it was before as a priority, but you can still do it. The Magnum is just a very cool one to be playing during your opponent's turn. When you look at the type of matchups this deck will end up facing, the Biosteels are pretty much dead as interruptions against your opponent, and they're more effective against like just your deck itself, which is why Magnum might be something you might consider just cutting completely, and that will get the deck down to a very nice 40. For the hand traps, we are playing 3 Ash Blossom. I'm not playing Nibiru in the main, I know, and I'm not playing Imperm either. The reason for that is, as you can tell with my particular build, is I'm trying to play under Nibiru and play with different strategies in order to see my opponent's advantage. And then during like game 2, if I go first, that's when I can put in the Expulsion and the Gimmick Puppet Lock. And then going into game 3, that's where I can start putting in more board breakers. I can then put Nibiru in and everything else. The last of the monsters are, of course, the 1 Dark Magician and the 1 Neospatian Aquadolphin. Yes, I am maining it. And the reason I'm maining it is I quite like the risk of, you know, at the end of the day, if I open up Fusion Deployment in my opening hand, I've got no issue activating that to summon out the Aquadolphin, look at my opponent's hand, and that way I guarantee I will not be hitting an Ash, and I see if they've got a Nibiru. If I see they've got the Nibiru, then I need to play around it a little bit more and adapt my strategy. But the hand knowledge is just incredible. Yes, it requires me to discard another card, but as you saw in the combo at the start, even with the 3 remaining cards, you can still build a very powerful board. You're taking one from your opponent's hand, and you're able to see the entire knowledge. So you know what they're going to be able to play through. Bar their top deck, you'll know what strategy you need to kind of complete with. The Dark Magician, I'm still kind of curious in this one because obviously on the combo at the start, you saw that I didn't need Dragoon. So it's kind of a card that you might be like, well, maybe I can side this out. And the reason you can side it out and then side it in is because making a Dragoon against a cash matchup pretty much nearly gives you an auto win. It is incredibly powerful, it is incredibly important, and the reason that Dragoon it kind of has a stump in the additional combo is the fact that it can negate anything. It does require you to have an additional discard, which is why I didn't show that version in the opening combo, because it then becomes like a 4-card combo or like a 3.5 or 2.25 combo. Something weird, because you'll need 2 random cards you can put back to the deck. But I feel maining the Neospatian. Again, even if I'm going second, worst case scenario is I open this up. It's like, okay, so I've seen the Neospatian in my opening hand. If I've opened up Branded Fusion, I can still just normal summon the Neospatian and then use its effect. So I still have ways to do it. It's not the end of the world, which is why it's so important. And even if I open this up and I open up Fusion Deployment lets you special from the hand or the deck. So again, it's very, very important that it gives you that ability to kind of get it for free advantage. So, and like I said, if I open up the Fusion Deployment, I just normal summon this, use its effect, ditch the Fusion Deployment. Even though Fusion Deployment can still get you to Dark Magician and Cartesia as well. So you've got loads of ways to play around it, and I just feel playing 4 copies of this, plus a Call by the Grave in the main, gives you as many possible outs without affecting the ratios and playability of the deck as possible. So yeah. Moving on to spells, you know, standard triple Branded Fusion, triple Banded Opening, and triple Fusion Deployment. Obviously, these are your main cards, which is why they're all at 3. They're so incredibly powerful, very, very good, very, very effective. Like I said before, Branded Opening, you always activate during the draw phase because you play around Drolls, Veilers, and ultimately it will give you your Luba very early. The only downside of activating this during the draw phase is, as you saw from the combo, you need to specifically open up the Branded Fusion because your 5th summon becomes, or before you get to your 5th summon, that's when you get into the Mary Courier. So you get the Mirror Courier protection, and then you make your 5th summon. So with the branded opening, if you activate it, when you complete in the combo, you kind of get to like summon number 4 before you can get the Mirror Courier, so you kind of live on a bit of a knife edge. It can work, you just need to be cautious and aware of that. Then for the one-offs, I've got the 1 theatre, just in case you get all your zones locked, you'll still have this to be able to like fuse into the extra monster zone. And if you fuse into the extra monster zone, that's like a Dragoon if you open up Dark Magician and a Bestial. Not to mention, you've got ways of getting into Quintarius. Quintarius will give you the ability to kind of destroy the rest of the board, or reduce them to 0 and then pick off the parts that you don't need, everything else. 1 branded red, 1 branded lost, so good. Like, give me a foil, please. 1 branded in white steel, 1 called by the grave. And the last spell is the Gold Sark. Now, I bounced back and forth between Gold Sark and Foolish Burial. I ended up landing on the Gold Sark, and the reason I changed this last minute was I was like, at the end of the day, Foolish Burial gives me access to Lubellion in the graveyard. It will trigger Tragedy and it will trigger the Mirror Courier. However, Gold Sark will do the exact same thing, bar the Lubellion. However, it will trigger the Mirror Courier. Now, obviously, Foolish Burial will only trigger the Mirror Courier if you're under the Rice Heart, whereas Gold Sark will trigger it regardless. Not to mention, if you leave them banished as well, you can add them back in 2 turns, but games are rarely lasting 2 turns at this moment in time. So I kind of went with the split decision that I felt that Gold Sark helped the strategy of getting Mirror Courier banished, getting Cartesia to the hand, rather than having to rely on a Bestial as much to be able to protect your plays of being Nibiru proof, basically. And the last 3 track cards we play is the 1 Banishment, the 1 Sword, and the 1 Beast. These are like, you could arguably cut these, and the reason you could cut these, like Sword is the one that you need because of the combo that you saw at the start of the video. Banishment is another one that is just the most easily consistent card, and you can contact fuse your opponent's monsters. And then of course Beast is just here as a back row way of being able to get rid of stuff. But as you saw in the combo, you don't leave Lubellion on the board. So it's kind of give or take. Arguably, if you're going to cut this, I would honestly put in the spell card, because at least with the spell card, you'll get that ability when you're banishing stuff to put it back to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So there's ways and methods in the madness. It really comes down to your personal play style and changing up. Like I said, this one is just to focus on anti-Ash and anti-Nibiru as consistently as you possibly can. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, the extra deck is pretty straightforward on this one. So Dragoon, Mirror Jade, Dust Dragon, Albinatus, Double Albion, 1 Lubellion, 1 Rimbrum. So pretty straightforward on the Albaz kind of targets and everything else you need. And then I've still got the 1 Priscillian. I think the fact you can cheese this out is just insane. Still playing the Quintarius, Masquerade for those burn times. I did actually highly consider, and I don't know if I put it to one side or not, probably didn't, but there is a Neospatian, there is. I did highly consider putting this in the main deck over maining the Aquadolphin. And the reason I would do this is if I could find the Neospatian Air Hummingbird, which will give you a way to gain life points during time. So if time gets called and you're still playing, like you're playing your turn, but you can't Masquerade to make your opponent burn, you could then Fusion Deployment, get the Air Hummingbird out of the deck, and then use Air Hummingbird as effect to gain life points equal. I think it's like 500 life points per card in your opponent's hand. So arguably, I am considering this instead of the Neospatian, the Aqueduct Neos. It just depends if I can find my Air Hummingbird, basically. And the last 2 cards is Sprind and Chimera. Sprind is just because of Contact C. Like, that card can be a bit annoying against this deck. But it can also be very cool to normal summon Albaz or special summon Albaz off a Fusion Deployment, and then use its effect to contact fuse with a monster special summon that turn. Now, 9 out of 10, when you're going to contact fuse, you do have routes into Mirror Jade. But for example, if your opponent puts a monster on the board that isn't an extra deck monster, like Lady Labyrinth, for example, you can contact fuse into the Iron Dash as well. So that is it for the profile. Like I said, like when you look at the other types of profile, a lot of them won't play the Aquadolphin or the Aquaneos. They'll probably rely on Dragoon a little bit more. They'll try to get to Dragoon before Branded Fusion, but then you're burning off all of the other parts and end of your components you can get. And the fact that you can still really get a Mirror Jade, Rimbrum, Lost, and still have hand advantage, I feel is really, really important with a deck like this, which is why I focus so hard on trying to figure out this combo and finding a way around it. Anyway, I hope you found this informative. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on upgrading your own build. Let me know what ways you are working to kind of deal with Ash Blossom, Nibiru, and all of that. However, for now, as absolutely always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.